Seth Koslow is a legislator in Nassau County who's challenging County Executive Bruce Blakeman. So here's the question. Why would you do a better job than Bruce Blakeman?
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. You know, I've lived in Nassau County my entire life. I grew up here with my family. I'm raising my family here, my wife and 3 young kids. And I've seen how wonderful it is to live here, work here, grow a family here. And now as a legislator, I get to see how the government's working. And part of the problem is we have a county executive who's refusing to spend our tax dollars wisely. He's just wasting all of our money.
Well, how is he wasting it?
Well, that's the thing. He's spending money on his private militia. He's spending money on outside legal firms to give them money to do work that our in-house counsel can do. He's spending money on rallies for President Trump, but not on our infrastructure. He's not spending money to bring in to increase our police department.
Can you put a price tag on all of this?
As far as how much he's spending?
Yeah, how much do you think is wasted?
I mean, I can tell you right out of the gate, he's spent about $30 million on outside legal fees, above and beyond the $10 million we have.
But maybe he thinks you need to do that.
Well, historically, Nassau County has spent between $3 and $6 million on outside legal counsel. I don't see how it's such a difference under Bruce Blakeman. But at the end of the day, we have over $1 billion in money that we've borrowed for our infrastructure, for our first responders, for jobs that have to keep us safe, and he hasn't spent that money. It's just sitting there. So instead of spending money to actually make Nassau County safer and better and prepare for the future and for our infrastructure concerns and for our beach erosion issues, he's spending money on frivolous lawsuits for red light cameras that have been deemed illegal already. He's fighting that instead of actually trying to keep us safe and actually trying to make it more affordable in Nassau County.
So you would do what? What would be the first thing you would do if you got elected?
The first thing I would do is audit the entire county, find out where our money is actually going. We have buildings we're paying for that we're not using. We have departments that are being funded that aren't actually doing anything. We have county cars that are given to people. No one knows who's using them. Where is that money going? What about the red light cameras we're paying for the people who borrow county cars? Those are real dollars that can go back to the pockets of our people in our communities.
Well, I mean, one of the things you talk about, I've read your stuff on your campaign website, is you talk about wanting to reduce property taxes. Most people find that hard to do because there's so many things you want to spend money on to provide services for people. How would you provide the services, but at the same time cut property taxes?
So a big portion of the property taxes come from the state that we really can't control at the county level. Right. But what we can do is work with our partners in government in the state, which Bruce Blakeman refuses to do, but work with our partners in the federal and state governments to try and get us credits, try and reduce our taxes there, but also find the money we're wasting. It may not be a tax reduction, but if we cut down on the fees people are paying and the waste and all the money we're spending for nothing and give that back to people, it may not be a tax reduction, but money back in their pocket will make a difference.
How would you put money back in their pocket if it's not a tax reduction?
If we find all the money that's being wasted in Nassau County on these outside legal firms, on the buildings we're not using, the money we're spending that should be spent elsewhere, we can give it back as a credit. We can give it back as infrastructure repairs that saves people when their cars break down from hitting a pothole and they blow a tire. That's real money.
So let's talk about another interesting issue, which is the mascot controversy. How do you come down on that?
I think at the end of the day, it's not something that the federal government should get involved in, quite frankly. It's something
so
that...
So you don't think Linda McMahon's suit is necessary?
I think we have a lot more to worry about from the federal government than what's happening in Massapequa. That's an issue that the Massapequa school and community should take care of and handle on their own.
Do you think that they should change their name from the Chiefs?
I don't think it's an issue that really needs to get this type of attention. I think it's taken out of context, and I think we've seen other groups of people that don't have an issue with it, that are not concerned with it, and I think it's a decision that the school board should make.
So would you support keeping the name as Bruce Blakeman does? He had a whole press conference about it, or would you say the name should be changed because it's offensive to Indians?
I think the reality is the community there should make a determination for themselves without outside pressure from anybody else, whether it's the county executive or Linda McMahon.
But you're taking a pass on a big issue in Nassau County, because it's not just Massapequa. I mean, there are other places in Nassau County that have Indian names.
See, the beauty of Nassau County is we have
the Thunderbirds, for example.
Sure. We have so many municipalities in Nassau County and so many different types of government between our towns, our villages, our cities, and the county. The county doesn't have to get involved in every single issue that affects individual municipalities. I represent Freeport, for example. If Freeport wants to make a decision that affects their schools or their police, the county doesn't have to step in. They have a right to do that for themselves. And unless it's going to make them safer or make it more affordable for them, that's what my priority is going to be as county executive, not to help them figure out their issues with respect to what they want their mascot to be.
So let's talk about this. One of the big things that's happened in the last week was the shooting in Minneapolis. And the response to that on the part of Mr. Blakeman was to establish with the police of Nassau County response groups that can go to every school on opening day and through the year to make sure that things are safe. If you were county executive, would you think that was a good use of police power?
Just to be clear, this was not in response to the shooting that happened in Minneapolis. This was already planned out, scheduled, and this was all set to go before the shooting happened. This was not in response to it.
But that's when he announced it.
The timing was impeccable for him, but it wasn't because of, he didn't announce it because of the shooting. It was already scheduled for that press conference.
Is it a good use of police power?
If it's going to keep our children safe, absolutely. I have three young kids.
You would continue that?
If it's a good... I don't have specifics on what the plan is because he didn't invite the Democratic legislators to the event or give us information about it because he likes to kind of keep things to himself and not share with us. But if it's useful and a police department thinks it's beneficial to keep our kids safe, I have 3 kids in elementary school. I want my kids safe. I want their friends safe. So if it's going to keep them safe, we absolutely should be doing it. But we also should be working to educate our police department on red flag laws that we have in Nassau County. I've been trying to do that, and Bruce Blakeman put a stop to that.
When you talk about the red flag laws, what you're trying to say is that people who have mental issues should not be given guns.
Absolutely. There are people, some people have mental issues, whether it's a one-off and it happens because something that sets them off.
So you're saying that the Nassau police aren't enforcing that, or that Bruce Blakeman isn't enforcing that?
If you look back historically, Suffolk County has had about 1,500 or 1,300 red flag orders signed off on by judges. Nassau County had about 30. So I've worked as a legislator to try and bring Moms Demand Action together with Nassau County Police Department.
You're a former prosecutor. How would you change that?
It's education. Our officers don't know what to do with it. And it's not their fault. They haven't been trained on it. That's something we can do with our colleagues in government, with Moms Demand Action, to educate them and tell them how it works and when to use them. And it's not, believe me, I support the police completely. They're fantastic. They're the best in the country, if not the best in the world, our Nassau County Police Department. But they don't know what they don't know. If we can educate them and prepare them for whatever is going to happen and give them the tools they need, we should be doing it.
So how do you feel about another proposal that Bruce Blakeman has done, which is to have armed volunteers that could respond to riots and other things?
So I misspoke before. The first thing I'm going to do when I take office is to get rid of this ridiculous militia. It's unbelievable. There's no need for it. We have a fantastic police department. It's all a political stunt. It's not going to benefit anybody. There's no training involved. There's no chain of command involved. It's completely and utterly dangerous, disgusting, and terrifying that he thinks it's even worthwhile to do this. We don't know who these people are. We don't know what type of training they're getting. We don't know what else they're doing after they get their initial training. We don't know what their vetting process is. He gives vague answers about some of these people have military backgrounds. And what about the ones who don't? What is their background? We don't need to arm civilians and give them police powers that we are then responsible for if they do something wrong. If they shoot somebody while they're activated, it's on the county.
Okay, well, we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But our conversations continue right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. Seth Koslow is a legislator in Nassau County who is challenging County Executive Bruce Blakeman. So one of the things that I've been sort of concerned about coming out of Washington has been the fact that the Department of Health and Human Services wants to say that COVID vaccine should not be given to people. And I wondered, if you became Nassau County Executive, would you try to obtain any kind of vaccines so that people in Nassau County could get it if they wanted it? How do you come down on the vaccine issue? So
one of the things I'm comfortable admitting is that I don't know everything, and my job as county executive is to work with people that know better than me. And I'm going to put together a team of people, including doctors, to advise me on what we should and shouldn't be doing with respect to vaccinations. And if those people that I surround myself with think we need to do something to get vaccines in place for our people to keep them safe, I'm going to do it. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. And the fact that the federal government is making a blanket statement about what we need and don't need is problematic because they're not taking advice from doctors, they're firing doctors. I want to make sure the people in Nassau County are safe. And that's what my main goal is. Their safety, their security, and making sure they can afford to live here. Well, what about the vaccines for other kids? I mean, for kids and people like that, would you also try to get vaccines for them? If our doctors recommend that, and that's what the medical professionals say we should be doing, yes, I went through my whole life and I've raised my kids the same way I was raised. They've been vaccinated. They get the medication and treatment they need because we want to keep them safe and healthy.
That leads me into another issue that you've been critical about during the campaign, which is Nassau University Medical Center and what's going on there. Tell me about that.
So Nassau University Medical Center is a safety net hospital for us in Nassau County. It serves hundreds of thousands of people who can't afford to get health care. And it's a beacon in Nassau County for treatment, for service. We have a level 1 trauma center, a burn center. And at the end of the day, it was a problem that should have been fixed. Our county executive, if I was county executive, what I would have done is I would have taken some of the money we have from our opioid settlement. We got $100 million in opioid settlement money that we have to use for opioid treatment. Instead of fighting with the state and letting them take over, I would have taken $30 million of that money and put it towards an opioid treatment center in the hospital, and then gone one step further and said to the state, look, I made a good faith investment. I'm putting $30 million of county funds in. Why don't you meet me in the middle, put in $30 million from the state, and let's save the hospital. Let's make it the best it can be. Instead, Bruce Blakeman made it the political football, and he said, it's not my problem, let's blame the state. And now we lost control of the hospital. And now it's up in the air, and we don't know what's going to happen because we're not responsible for it anymore.
But is there any way you could get control back if you became the county executive?
I would work as hard as I possibly could to get control back because that's what we need. And that comes down to working with people from all over the state and all over the government. Bruce Blakeman refuses to work with anybody in New York State, refuses to work with anybody in Suffolk County. He'll only work with Donald Trump, and he's done nothing to help us with that relationship.
Well, talking about Donald Trump, one of the things that the county executive has done is to try to get the Nassau County police officers to train with ICE agents so they can help make arrests of illegal immigrants. How do you come down on that?
Look, I told you before, one of my top priorities in Nassau County is safety, right? And we don't want any violent criminals in Nassau County. And if it comes down to it, and ICE is going to deport those people or take them out of our county, that's fine.
Should Nassau County cops be training to do that as well?
Absolutely not. We don't need to give our resources to the federal government. They have plenty of resources, way more than we have. We already have a detective shortage in Nassau County. We're short about 40 detectives from where we should be. And as a former prosecutor, I know that detectives solve 85% of our crimes in Nassau County. And if we don't have enough detectives, we can't solve the crimes that people are affected by every single day. That's going to make us less safe over time. Instead of building up our detective force, Bruce Blakeman gave 10 of our detectives more work to do to keep us less safe. And at the end of the day, they're not just getting people who are violent criminals. Today, I just heard about a McDonald's manager in Oceanside that was arrested. He's a hardworking, tax-paying individual who now has been scooped up and taken away by ICE. So they're not going after the violent criminals, they're going after whoever they want.
So are you going to deal with legislation that would prevent ICE agents from making some of the arrests they're making? Like some of them have been taking place at courthouses where people go to have regular court hearings.
So I don't have any authority to do that as a legislator. We don't have the authority to tell ICE what they can and can't do.
Can't you file suits? They're filing suits in New York City about it.
So filing a lawsuit to stop ICE would have to come from an affected party, and I'm not an affected party, so I personally can't do that. We've been working with some of our...
The mayor of New York City did it.
The mayor of New York City, it's a different issue because they're getting funding directly from the federal government. We don't have that in Nassau County. We have no basis to go after them to stop them from doing it because they're a law enforcement agency.
So another question, if you could talk to voters in Nassau County, and they want to know something about you as opposed to your campaign slogans, what would you want them to know about you as a person?
So I'm new to this world as far as politics go. I'm a first-term legislator. Before I got into politics, all I did was coach baseball, run my law practice, and be a husband. I have 3 young kids and a rescue dog with my wife. She has a baking business out of the house. I wasn't in this world because I was a politician. I was out on the field, and I got a phone call saying you want to get involved and make the community better. And that's what I've been trying to do. And really, as a legislator, I've had that opportunity, and I feel like I've made a difference as a legislator, and I see that we need leadership that's going to do something in the county level as far as the county executive goes. And that's why I'm running for this position, because I think we need someone who's going to do the job, and I'm prepared to do the job.
How old are your kids?
I have a 6th grader, a 4th grader, and a 1st grader.
And how do they feel about you running for office?
They love it. They are so excited, so supportive. They talk about it constantly. They're the the motivation I need when I come home from a day and, something doesn't go right, or I'm just not sure if I made the right decision. They want to know what I'm doing. They're excited to see me on the TV and in the newspaper, and they love talking about it, wearing my hat. They have so much fun with it.
So why is Nassau County a good place to raise kids?
It's amazing. We have fantastic beaches, fantastic businesses, food, things you can do. We're so close to the city. We're close to Suffolk County. There's so much you can do in Nassau County, and with the sports and the entertainment and the schools, everything about it's a great place.
Seth Koslow, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
And thank you at home for joining us as well.